Hello and welcome to the Canadian Coach. I'm your host, Heather E. Wilson. And today we're going to talk about Canadian language. Now, we are a very big country, and we definitely have different terms, slang terms, words, and dialects that we use from coast to coast. However, there are a few that are countrywide. And if you are planning to visit Canada, or perhaps you have a coach in Canada who is Canadian, you might hear these terms and you should really be familiar with them. Maybe you've already heard some. So today I have a few that I thought I'd share with you. Now, the first one is pretty much what the world thinks is a stereotypical Canadian word, how we sound, right? Now, it's A. Now, you've probably heard that Canadians use the word a lot. So today I would like to talk about this word or expression and kind of clear a few things up. So first of all, not all Canadians say a all the time. Yes, we do use it within reason. There are some Canadians, of course, who use it a lot more than others, but a is actually used more as an affirmation to confirm what someone is saying. So it's cold outside, eh? Or yeah, see, I don't actually use it all that much. However, it is used to, at the end of a question, to confirm or show surprise, like, hey, that kind of thing. You will find that most Canadians actually don't use it all that much, and it became a major Canadian stereotypical slang expression back in the 80s when there were certain TV shows that really exaggerated this. So yes, we do say a, but not all that much. And it's used in to replace such as right. So let's say you ask a question, you go, right? Or is that correct? We just say a instead. And it's asked like a question. A. All right. So there we go. First one. Next is about. Now, I know the word about is used in the English language in every English-speaking country, but for some reason, the rest of the world hears Canadians say about like a boot, like a boot you wear on your feet. No Canadian hears it like that. And it really boggles our mind that everybody else does hear it like that. So any word with O-U-T, about, out, shout, clout, it still sounds like out to us, not oot or boot. So if you are in Canada or you're speaking to Canadian, it's not necessarily a good thing to call that out if it sounds funny to you. All right, just heads up on that, because we all think we're saying it the way the rest of the world says it. All right, so about. Next, double double. Now, a double double is actually a coffee. So if you go into a Tim Hortons, let's say, which is where it originated, and you order a double double, you will get a coffee with 2 creams, 2 sugars. Double double. Now, it originated with Tim Hortons, which is pretty much the national coffee chain, also known as Timmy's. However, now you can walk into any coffee shop in Canada and order a double double, and you will get 2 creams and 2 sugars, except for maybe Starbucks. That's a little different. But any kind of your average coffee shop, if you order a double double, that's what you'll get: 2 creams, 2 sugars. It saves time. Okay, so now you know. When you come to Canada, you can pretend you're a Canadian by ordering a double double. All right, next, let's talk about our money. Now, yes, our money is color-coded, and we actually really love that. But let's talk about our $1. we call it a loonie. Now that sounds like a really crazy thing. However, a loonie is a $1 coin, and it has, I don't know, you probably won't even be able to see this, a picture of a loon on it. Now I don't doubt you could see that very well, but there's actually a loon on our dollar coin. And that's why it became called a loonie. It was just like a really easy thing to call it. And when the $2 coins came out, they became known as toonies. But surprisingly, they have polar bears on them. So I guess it was easier to say toonie than a bear or something or other. But they have polar bears on them, and they're really pretty cool. So toonies and loonies, you will get those as change, and you can spend them when you come to Canada. All right, next we have toque. Do you know what a toque is? Can you take a wild guess? Well, a toque is actually another word for a winter hat. So, let's see, I have one here. Just a knitted hat, okay? So, for example, it's cold outside, make sure you're wearing your toque. I say that to my kids all the time, drives them crazy. But yeah, it's just a knitted hat, and it can look like this, it can be more like a beanie, it doesn't really matter, but a toque is a hat that you wear for cold weather, let's say. You'd call a sun hat a toque, all right? But it's a toque, okay? And if you come to Canada, you need a toque in the winter anyway. Next is a little different, pencil crayons. Okay, pencil crayon. Now, in the US, you guys call these colored pencils. It's the same thing. However, all across Canada, in schools, when you go to buy your crayons, they're called pencil crayons. No idea why. It's just a thing, and it's always been a thing. Even when I was a kid, they were pencil crayons. In fact, I didn't even know other countries called them something else until just a few years ago. I thought everybody called them pencil crayons, because they're a pencil and they're a crayon. It just makes so much more sense to me. Anyway, all right, next one, click. Now, this is used in a sentence such as, oh, that town is 10 clicks away, or I drove 50 clicks to get there. It's basically a short way of saying kilometer. Okay, and because in Canada we do use kilometers for driving purposes, or the speed limits are posted in kilometers, we've kind of shortened it to clicks. So if you hear this term in relationship to driving, that's what it means. All right, clicks. Not sure if the UK does that. I don't think so, even though they use kilometers too, but or in Europe where they use metric. But yeah, we call them clicks. So if you are a tourist, if you're coming to Canada and you're driving, now you know we use clicks. All right, it's a short term. Now, here's another one, pop. It's another word for soda. In Canada, we call soda pop. I guess it was just splitting up soda pop to the US took the soda and we took the pop. But here we call any kind of fizzy drink like you would normally consider soda, pop. So, you know, like your Coke and Sprite and Pepsi and all that kind of stuff. That is pop. And when I was a kid, we actually had a place called the Pop Shop. And I believe you can still buy Pop Shop Pop. And it was always really fun because we could go and we could pick our own flavors. Now, you know, everything is so industrialized and commercialized, so it's not quite so fun anymore. But when I was a kid, which probably dates me, you know, Coke and Pepsi and all that just wasn't such a big deal, wasn't so mainstream. So we would go to the Pop Shop and we would pick our pop. So there you go. All right, next one, which you may have heard of, because this is pretty much a Canadian dish, and that is poutine. Now, poutine is originally from Quebec, but now you can get it anywhere in Canada. And it is French fries, cheese curds, and gravy. Now, sounds kind of messy, which it can be. And there are now hundreds of variations of poutine, but true classic poutine is preferably homemade, fresh cut French fries of very high quality, real cheese curds, not just any kind of cheese, not grated cheese, but cheese curds and gravy. And you pour the gravy on top and it melts the cheese, and now you have all these cheesy goodness fries. Now, I don't eat that very much because I'm not a big gravy fan, but I do love a good cheese curd and a good fry too. So on a future episode, I will probably take you on a tour of some poutine places. And it's a French word, by the way. All right, next is a really important one if you plan to visit Canada, all right? And that is washroom. Now, in the US, it's usually called the restroom. In Europe, it's called toilets or bathroom, you know, so it's, where's the washroom? You know, if you're in a restaurant, you know, I need to use the washroom. Yeah, so when you're looking for your restrooms or your toilets and you come to Canada, you will never see toilets or restroom. You will see washroom. So it means the same thing, same room, does the same purpose, but it's washroom. And that is coast to coast. So heads up if you're visiting Canada, it's probably a pretty major one that you want to know, because sometimes people might not understand what you're saying. Unlikely, but you know, it's still good to know that it's washroom here. All right, and the last one is my absolute favorite, chocolate bar. Now this may seem bizarre, it actually surprises me, but I know in the US they call them candy bars. I don't know about Europe, but I know for sure in the US it's called candy bar. Now we call them chocolate bars because they're made with chocolate. Now if it's a candy bar, our candy bars, which we actually do have, they generally either do not have chocolate or it's a very tiny amount. But to be called a chocolate bar actually has to be chocolate. And personally, I only buy chocolate bars. I'm not a big fan of just sugar and candy. So if you are looking for what you would consider a candy bar in another country, chances are it's called a chocolate bar here. So that is a really important thing to know when you are shopping for your junk food. All right. Now, there are many, many other slang terms and words and fun things about Canada, and there are different ones in different areas. For example, the East Coast tends to have a much heavier, what we would call accent, than say the West Coast. And the farther east you get, the heavier the accent gets. So for example, those people who live in Newfoundland, sometimes it's kind of hard for even us to understand, right? But we love it so much. And those on more the West Coast, they don't have as much of a specific dialect or accent that the rest of us can really notice, let's say. So when you do come to Canada, just listen, and there are definitely words that we use that are not the same as other countries, and we love that. It makes us unique. It's part of our heritage, part of our culture, and we wouldn't change that for anything. So if you have a word or Canadianism that you're wondering about, please put it in the comments below and I'd be happy to explain it. And, you know, if there's something in particular that you would like me to talk about on one of these videos, I'd be more than happy to do so. And in the meantime, please like and share this video and be sure to subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.